Hello, Mech Warriors. Are you considering building yourself a long-range missile build on a clan mech? Well, this is what we're going to cover today. And I'm going to talk about the Inner Sphere and the clan mechs, specifically the differences between the two, and where some of them shine better and some of them just outdo the other. And for this, I picked two mechs that I think are very good representations of the ones that are available. I picked an Inner Sphere and a clan. And for the Inner Sphere, I picked this guy here. This is the Marauder II 4HP, or I just call it Anubis. And the reason I call it that is because when I build this for brawling, there are a few mechs that are going to put out as much output as this. One of them might be the longbow with all those missiles that are available on the Spectre, but this guy seems to do really, really well with just doing one big alpha strike. But when I'm not doing brawling, this still has the ability to brawl with the setup I've got set up on it. The other mech we're going to be looking at is the Warhammer IIC-2. And I'll show you what the differences between the two mechs are, and more importantly, how they fire their weapons. Now, how they fire their weapons is very different from each other. As an example, clan mechs have a tendency on their LRMs to fire them out in a stream. So they come out kind of like the way a machine gun works. On a Inner Sphere mech, if there's a LRM 10, like one of the 6 that are on this particular build, all 10 of them fire at the same time. They might stream out in chain fire, but for each group, and in this one has 6 LRM 10s and 1 LRM 5, they're all going to fire 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 5, and then continue on from there. And you'll understand that further on when I show you how they fire. The clan mech is going to fire them at a stream, and I've actually done it in slow motion. It fires 2 missiles, and then the rest of them go out in succession. So there's a long stream of missiles going through the air. So theoretically, if you were to do 7 LRM 10s on a clan mech, you could actually have it be a continuous stream of missiles flying through the air. I think if it was LRM 5s, I think it's something like 8 or 9 that you have to have in order for it to be a continuous stream. And I can't think of a single build that has that. But anyways, back to the lecture at hand. The Warhammer 2C is a clan mech, and it's not an omnipod, so it's a fair battle with it. Also, the Inner Sphere mech here, the Marauder II and the Warhammer 2C, both have the same ranges for range output, 1,035 meters. So it allows you to see in the videos coming up how each one of them fires and the distance as it surpasses. The big difference between the two is realistically that the clan mech has a tendency to stay cooler by design, and part of that is because the missiles go out individually for the most part. The clan mech does heat better, but in regards to which one does the damage better, I think there's a little bit of a lean towards the Inner Sphere mech. And the reason is because when a mech is being fired upon, if the missiles are coming in succession, if you've detected them, it gives you a chance to kind of duck a little bit or maybe twist and turn to dissipate the damage from one component to several components, spreading the damage as it's called. On an Inner Sphere mech, if you had, say, 3 LRM 20s as an example, which you could do on this mech, you could have them go out so that 20 of them are going to hit all at once. Not necessarily on the same component, but it's definitely going to be harder to dissipate the energy if you had something like that set up. The other thing is because it's firing all at once, it produces a little bit more heat in that regard. So between the two, there are some differences between the two that are really stand out, and honestly, I kind of have to give the leaning edge to the Inner Sphere mech. And it's just part of the design, and you'll understand it when we go further. By the way, what do you think of this? This is just beautiful in my opinion. By the way, if you get these exhaust tips, yeah, real flames in there. Too bad it doesn't have smoke coming out. That'd be kind of cool. Let's take a look. So I have 6 LRM 10s on here and an LRM 5. I have 6 tons of ammo, and I'm skilled up, so each ton of ammo is actually more. It's 276 missiles for each ton. The reason I went with this setup like this, opposed to going with like a rocket pod or a bunch of LRM 5s or something, is because what you get out of this. By firing this way, you're going to get a cooldown of 3.25 seconds, and then on these a cooldown of 3.7 seconds. So what actually ends up happening is if you have these set up in a cyclet rate chain fire, you're going to be able to fire these continuously. There's going to be a small gap, and I mean it's like 0.15 seconds of a gap in between, and you'll see that when we get to that part of it. The setup of this mech here has a heat management of 0.91. Now, if you're firing your missiles all the time, that's actually really good, and I'll show you what I mean. If you take off these 4 energy points, the 4 energy points, you actually have a heat management of 1.64, which is staggeringly good. The engine has 10 tons of double heat sinks built in already, plus the 4 you added, plus you have the 2 external ones here. So the heat management is actually really good. But the medium X-pulse lasers produce a lot of heat. And the reason I have them on here is because they work really well at doing one thing, and that is providing damage on a second-by-second basis. These things will fire 4 times in a second, because that's the cooldown, is 0.25. So that is really, really nice. So in a brawling match, I ran out of ammo from my LRMs, and I was able to use my medium X pulses to kill 2 mechs, and that made a big difference to me, especially since it would have been me being the chalk out line on the ground. Instead, it was them. So this mech does really well at being able to defend itself really well and be able to throw weapon down range. Now the speed on this is kind of the downer. It's 58.3, so it's not very quick, and it does have a big profile. And let me show you what I mean. Look at this side profile. From front to back, it's actually better viewed here. From front to back, this thing is wide. It goes all the way across, takes up this tremendous amount of space. And the arms aren't doing anything to defend you, because this is all left and right torso on either side. So, and it's also got a big butt, and that's why it says wide load. So it does have a narrow profile down the front, and one of the nice things about this is because of this profile, it's actually hard to do damage to the left and right torso from a front view. From the side view, it's very easy. When we look at the clan mech, the profile of this is very different. The arms provide a little bit of protection here and here, but the overall profile of this mech is very narrow, and so it's a very different mech in that regards. Still got a nice wide back end here, and from the front, it's also not incredible. The hitboxes on this, if you look on this, this is just this torso, this whole area here. So it's not as strong, I guess, is the best way to put it forward. This is going to take less abuse than the inner sphere mech. Now, when we go back and look at this one, let's go to the skills tree. So the skills tree here, when we look at it, we got maxed out on range, so we got really good range, and with the max out, it reaches to 1,035 meters. We've got 10 spots for heat generation. No velocity, but we do have full missile racks for additional ammo, missile spread, which gives you a tighter niche. So think of it as like long barrel shotgun versus a short barrel shotgun. Instead of everything going way out, you're going to get a tighter cluster. High explosive just provides additional crit chance, better chance of doing more damage. Skeletal density, armor hardening, reinforced casing, all maxed out. And this does make a difference, believe me, on an assault mech. Remember, you're trying to add additional armor and additional protection. And the reinforced casing helps reduce the chance of critical damage. We also have 4 points into overheat damage because this will get hot. Sometimes I find myself on the battlefield firing my missiles and firing my X-pulse lasers in defense. I'm not always shooting at the same target. Sometimes I'm shooting one target with my missiles and another target with my lasers. Cool run and heat containment are going to add you a little bit different kind of internal armor. It's going to help you prevent from doing also additional damage internally, because it changes your heat profile and just allows you to stay cooler longer. Target decay is absolutely a must on an LRM build. I can't stress this enough. Forget a lot of other things. Forget armor. When I scale up a mech, and then I'm going to use for LRMs, I add target decay. If it's Thunderbolts, it's hit and miss. If it's an ATM, I don't even bother, because ATMs have terrible indirect fire. Because I wanted so much in the armor and cooling, I had to sacrifice some of the radar deprivation and a sensor range. But I still wanted my 3 consumables, which is 2 cool shots and a UAV. Here we are in the Marauder II with the cool exhaust pipes. And this is the MAD-4HP, as discussed earlier. And I am in range for my missiles, and I'm going to show you how they fire and also how they land. Here it comes. I'm going to stop right there because I'm pretty sure that'll kill the mech. Or pretty close to it. Let's go down and take a look. So somewhere way out there is my mech. And here comes the missiles. Big double tap. And we'll just keep firing until she goes. Notice it's a solid stream. I'm going to keep holding even after it kills the mech.
Target destroyed.
It's just a continuous stream, almost. Now that you've seen how the Innerspear mech fires weapons and the build loadout, we can look at the clan mech. The clan mech is the Warhammer IIC-2. I call this Bloody Rain because this thing just devastates on the battlefield. 4 LRM-20s is a force to be reckoned with. And this mech also has an additional feature that's definitely not considered defensive, but it'll definitely put you on the defensive. You got to be careful how you use it because it's very dangerous. What is it? Well, it's this little thing right here. This has narc. See, this mech, unlike the Innerspear compatible unit, only has 5 missile points. The other one has 9. This one has 5 missile points, and I've chosen to add narc to it because narc only weighs 1 ton and only takes up 1 slot. If it only took up 1 slot, I absolutely would have it on the Innerspear mech. Wouldn't even be with question. But I would actually have to sacrifice quite a bit because it weighs 2 tons for the unit and takes up 2 spots. And I don't know if you know if you saw, but I didn't have a lot of slots left over. So this one has 4 LRM-20s. Now the downside is it only has 2 energy weapons versus the 4 that was on the Innerspear mech. Now, do they make one that has 4 missile spots and 4 energy spots? Yes. That would be the Warhammer IIC-4. Now, the difference between the two for me is that I really wanted the narc on board without sacrificing the loss of 4 LRM-20s. There's not a lot of Interspear mechs you can put 4 LRM-20s on. 4 long-range 20 missiles gives you 80 missiles going downrange. Now, on the other mech, the firepower, I believe, was 72. This one is 80 alone just with the missiles. That's not even counting the energy weapons. And as you can see, this has got a very narrow profile, so you're not going to get as much damage from the sides because there's not as much mech to shoot at. Remember the other one? It stuck out all the way out to here and all the way back to here. It was like a walking double building with so much targetable area. This thing's narrower than a building in the game. Let's take a look at this. So as I said, 4 LRM-20s. This has, I believe it's, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.5 tons of ammo. Whereas the other one only had 6 tons of ammo. Now, part of the reason it only has 6 tons of ammo is because all the components on a clan mech are case protected, which means that if you have an ammo explosion, it's going to do damage to the mech, but it's not going to take you out of the game. On the Interspear mech, if you don't put case protection on each one of those, and as you remember, I don't have a lot of slots open, you could have an ammo explosion that'll take you out of the game. End of story. And without case protection, it's going to be tough. That's why I've got full armor on my legs on my Interspear mech. So I could do that. So this has 9.5 tons of ammo for 4 LRM-20s. And don't forget, it also has a narc on board. And with the narc, the special weapon, you can lock a target with it within range of the narc, of course. And in this case, it's 690 meters. You can lock a target with that, and not only can you shoot at it and do damage, but your teammates can. So if you're dealing with a mech that has stealth armor or ECM, it takes it out of the equation for the most part. There are some times when you will lose the lock even though the beacon is still working, but they're rare. Now, this mech only has 2 energy weapons, and based on the tonnage available, I was only able to put 2 ER mediums on here. Now, I could have sacrificed some stuff and been able to get 2 heavy mediums on here, but I figured out long ago with this build, it doesn't make that big of a difference. They are slow to fire. You have to keep them targeted on the mech, and because they take so long to unload the energy, it's really kind of a detriment. You want them to fire and be over with so you can get ready for that cooldown. And in this case, the cooldown is 4 seconds. Remember on the medium X pulses? Quite a bit shorter time, but they produce a lot more heat. But that means that it can brawl better. This has a heat management on this build of 1.35. It has firepower of 92, and wait for it, the speed is 72.9, which is a lot better than the 58. But granted, this thing is also a different setup as well. They both have similar amounts of armor in some regards, but the armor on the Interspear mech is much better. When you go to the quirks for the Marauder II, center torso alone is 26. Well, it's not 26 on this. I think it's 8. Yeah, it's 8 on the center torso for base armor improvement. So it's not a lot better. So even though it has less of a profile, it also has less protection. So you do have to take that into consideration. The way the clan mech fires its weapons, as I mentioned, is in a cyclet rate. And because of that, it produces less heat. Now, granted, you're not going to get the missiles all on target as the same way as the Interspear does. But there's another thing to consider also. When the missiles are flying through the air, if there's something in the way and you have like a building or something in the way, and you do have a lock, the Interspear mech's missiles will fire up and over in the indirect fire better than the clan mech does. The clan mech doesn't do as well at indirect fire, but they're overall are very similar otherwise. So between the two, in a long duration match, the clan mech might do more damage. But in a long duration where you also have to deal with brawling as well, the inner sphere mech is definitely going to be able to handle the test of time a little bit better because of the way the structure is. Now when we go to the skills tree on this guy, skills tree is a little bit different. Remember on the other one I had 10 slots just for wait, where am I? Yeah. I had 10 slots for heat generation. Well, this only has 9. I don't need as many. I've got the full range features, no velocity added, but I have missile rack, missile spread, as you remember, it's like a long barrel shotgun, and high explosive, which is the crit chance, skeletal density, armor hardening, reinforced casing. Instead of 4 points into overheat damage, I only have 2 because this mech stays quite a bit cooler because it doesn't have all the 2 additional laser points. I still have cool run, heat containment, target decay, but in this case I have full radar deprivation and sensor range improvements. 3 consumables, which is my 2 cool shots and a UAV, and I've got narc duration. Now the narc duration gives you a little bit better projectile speed, and it also keeps the narc on longer so you can get more damage on that target, and your teammates can as well. Here we are in the Warhammer IIC-2 out in the water, and I've sighted in a target, and I'm at the utmost range that I can get away from them, and you can see how the missiles will fire, and I'll show you as they land. Here we go. You'll notice that they come out in a cyclet rate. Let's go down a range and see what that looks like. Way back over there somewhere is my mech. And here they come.
Target destroyed.
So which mech do I pick for the overall nod? I gotta give it to the Marauder. The Marauder just does brawling better. It has a better cyclet rate as far as being able to put weapon down range with the continuous fire ability with this setup. And it also has better armor overall because it has just simply more of it. Now, granted, there's a lot more target to shoot at, but I've had matches in situations where I have to defend myself because I got separated from the group or things got sideways and we were losing the match. I've had better success in the Marauder 2 than I have in the Warhammer. Not to mention the Marauder also has the nice exhaust pipes that have the carbon fiber look on them, because that makes a difference, because carbon fiber equals horsepower, just like decals do. And the one thing I will say is the reason these decals are here is because I've been headshot once or twice in this mech. It's never happened in the Warhammer, but maybe it was just luck. We'll see. But between the two mechs, they're both great choices. Both of them have great features. This one has better brawling. The other one has better ammo and cooling. If you can stay with your group and you don't have to worry about defending yourself as much, I think the Warhammer is a very viable, great choice. But if for the overall mech, I have to give it to the Inner Sphere in this case. Anyway, I hope you liked the content. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And check out more of my videos. Lots and lots of content. I've got tutorial videos about how stupid I am in match play from time to time. I call them fails. And we all have good matches and bad matches. And it's just the way the game plays. It's just the way it works out.